start that now. And Daniel, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, no, happy to be here. So a little bit about myself, Daniel Marks. I'm the manager of prospect information for the Milwaukee Bucks. So we are actually playing in the Eastern Conference Finals right now. I'm taping our game. I'm going to watch after this. So no spoilers. Please.
Fear the deer.
Yeah, fear the deer. So this is my 8th season with the Bucks. Done a variety of different roles, started as an intern and kind of worked my way up doing some scouting, background and intel on draft prospects, working with our G League team, and now assisting our GM when he goes on the road, college scouting. So it's been a good ride. Me, Giannis, and Chris Middleton all started with the team at the same time. So they get all the publicity, but it's really a Three Musketeers thing. Turning the franchise around. They get paid much more handsomely than I do, though, so we still have to work on that. But how I got connected to, well, first my outdoor activity, just reading a book outside while sitting in a jacuzzi. I find that very, very relaxing. So got to do that this past weekend, which was really nice. It was hot, but just had to have the feet in the pool and a good book. So that was very relaxing for me. So I got connected to Eco Athletes, Lou and Kristen, through a charitable initiative I founded in January of 2020 called Scouting and Scavenging. I had seen a tweet about 5 years prior to that from someone who covered the Yankees as a beat reporter. And they said they would collect their unused hotel toiletries from their travels on the road and donate them to a homeless shelter at the end of the season, because most of those supplies get thrown out when you check out of the room, regardless of if they've been used or not. And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. But, one of those things that, I never really acted on. And then I don't know what kind of spurred that tweet to come back to memory, but I was in Las Vegas in December 2019 and sort of remembered that and was like, I travel a lot for work. I should start doing this myself. And over 7 years, I've been able to build up a lot of contacts in the NBA G League and college basketball. And was like, I'll try to get some of my friends and buddies on board. So started an Instagram page and would post pictures when I'd travel of what items I would collect. And other people started to get on board. And then 3 months later, COVID hits. And I'm based in New Jersey, so I work for the Bucks remotely. And New Jersey was one of the hardest hit places early on outside of New York City. And my grandparents are from Newark, New Jersey, which is about 30 minutes from where I currently live. And they had the highest death rate per capita in the state. So I had all of these people that had been collecting toiletries and wanted to find a way to give back to New Jerseyans in a time of need. So got connected with people in the mayor's office in Newark, and then we got donations from local hotels. Some people sent money to buy more supplies, and were able to distribute 2,100 toiletry kits with lotions, shampoos, soaps, etc., to members of or people that are in the food relief program, mainly families with kids in the school lunch program. And with schools going remote, they didn't have access to a lot of the services they would get at the schools, food and hygiene supplies and different things. So we were able to distribute that last year in June. And then this year we kind of really grew. We had over 90 teams across the country participate, completely donation based. We had people donate money last year for a fundraiser, but the goal is really to eliminate the waste of checking out of a hotel and the supplies getting thrown out behind you. Because for most hotels, the policy is when you check out, regardless of if it's been used or not, they have to change everything, the sheets, the bedding, and included in that is the toiletries. So we had over 550 pounds worth of supplies donated from over 90 teams sent to me here in New Jersey that we donated in Newark this past April. Had a lot of college coaches from Rutgers, Seton Hall, St. John's, Fairleigh Dickinson, NJIT come out to support the efforts, and we're able to distribute them in conjunction with the food that gets distributed each week in the food relief program. And, we've kind of continued to grow, and ideally next year, once people are out and back in the community, as teams collect these supplies, instead of sending them here to me and us distributing them, teams across the country, whether it's, Brianna, you mentioned your UC Davis. So Cal Poly was one of the schools that participated this year, and they donated their supplies, 30 pounds worth, to the Salvation Army in San Luis Obispo. Clemson had 36 pounds that they donated to the Clemson Community Cares Foundation. TCU had 68 pounds, which was the highest single total of any team. Their women's basketball team killed it and donated to the county homeless services. So kind of being able to spread the impact around to the different communities that have participating teams. So that's kind of a synopsis on what we do at Scouting and Scavenging. And I'm just going to play a short video. This was News 12 in New Jersey covered our event this year in Newark. So I'm going to share my screen and play this video. Let me pull it up here. So yeah, sometimes the screen sharing gets a little slow. Let me try. All right, here we go.
While we're waiting for it to load, I just want to highlight what I think is super exciting about Scouting and Scavenging, which is not only the social impact, but also the environmental story. And Daniel just kind of mentioned it in terms of waste reduction, like the actual supplies, but then also the plastic and all of the things holding it, which are now being reused instead of thrown directly in the landfill, maybe have a better chance of getting recycled or reused in some other or repurposed. So really exciting. Sorry, it looks like it's already.
Yeah, no, it's still going slow. Let me try playing a different window.
But I think that's, obviously when we can find sustainability solutions that are not only have a social impact story, but also that environmental impact story, it's really exciting. And I feel like this is one of those really great initiatives that does both. And there's ways to kind of better quantify. There's ways to quantify kind of both by just simply weighing what's there. And we did a little bit of that this Earth Day of just quantifying based on just total amount of pounds about how much plastic might have been hopefully avoided from landfill and either recycled or repurposed. But I think there's more opportunity for that in the future.
And
all right, I think I got it. So I'm going to retry sharing the screen real quick.
Community coming.
Can people hear it?
Good and unique cause in Newark. The initiative is called Scouting and Scavenging, which encourages pro athletes to collect their unused hotel toiletries from their travels for donation to those in need. So today, volunteers gave away 550 pounds of shampoo, conditioner, body wash, etc. Basking Ridge, New Jersey native Daniel Marks is the manager of prospect information for the Milwaukee Bucks and founder of Scouting and Scavenging.
I had seen a tweet from a Yankees beat writer a number of years ago that they collected toiletries while they were covering the Yankees to donate to a homeless shelter, and thought it was a great idea because a lot of these get thrown out after you check out of the room, regardless of whether they've been used or not.
I'm from Newark, and I know how hard it is, and just being here, being able to do this is very touching to me, because I'm able to come back to my community and do this for others in need.
And it all started by a tweet, the power of social media. And then they got after it, rolled up their sleeves and got after it.
Thanks, Otis.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of the mission. And like Kristen said, like the rationale behind it, you know, you can eliminate the waste and put it to good use in terms of getting these supplies into communities that need them, because, you know, having started this, you know, just as a way to like donate what I collected in excess, and then talking to people and who are in this field and work in homeless services and community relations and at community centers. The one thing, and I didn't know this before starting it, but people that are on food stamps or in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, they can't buy cleaning or hygiene supplies with those food stamps. So soap, shampoo, lotion, whatever, that has to come out of pocket. So for a lot of food pantries, the need for these supplies is sometimes greater than food itself, because they can't use the food stamps to get it. So, you know, eliminating the plastic, salvaging what you don't use, and it kind of became a cool competition. And we got custom toiletry bags made to send to teams and players that participate for them to travel with. So it's been really cool to see it grow, and it's just a really easy, simple thing to do because it doesn't take a lot of extra effort or time.
I love, I mean, I love it. Love this idea as soon as I heard about it. And I kind of echoing a little bit of what Kristen was saying. I think that this is a really easy, sensible way for the climate / environmental story to kind of attach, because it's legitimately attached to a social good story. It just fits. So kudos. Yeah, great stuff. Does anybody else have any questions? Does anybody, any of the champions or anybody from our team have any questions for Daniel?
A question. I think this is a really cool idea. And it seems like it'd be fairly easy to implement in all different communities in all different parts of the country. I was just wondering, and some of you from other parts of the world, is the US one of the only places that throws out unused toiletry stuff every time people check out of a hotel, or is that standard across the world? Anybody have any idea?
Ridian, maybe, or Jackie?
I don't think it's standard across the world. I know some hotels are sort of moving to having like refillable toiletry things rather than sort of those little teeny tiny packs. But no, I was just saying, I think thinking like for Australian leagues, particularly like the Australian Football League, like footy and rugby, you know, it'd be a really I think useful idea, and sort of should sound like it should be easy to implement because it's pretty similar to the North American sports leagues. Yeah, no, it's a great idea. I think I'll see if I can raise that with people in Australia.
And Ridian, did you have a question, or was that?
Oh, that was hand up for comment.
Got it. Awesome.
And I don't know the answer to that question. I think just, you know, there's certain things like if the soap is wrapped and like that hasn't been touched, like they can leave that. But in terms of like the shampoo or the conditioner, they just have to assume it's been used, because a lot of times those little bottles, you can't tell if there's anything missing or whatever. But even like, you know, sometimes people take one squirt of shampoo and then they leave, and it's like you have a 99% filled bottle that would otherwise get thrown out, but can be, you know, salvaged. And like Kristen said, if it's full, like the housekeeping staffs and the hotels aren't constantly emptying out what's left and, you know, recycling the plastic. Most of the time it just gets tossed. But a lot of hotels have started to get away from the single use to do the wall shampoo, shower stuff, so that they're reducing the plastic waste.
but still things that could be salvaged.
That's right.
Brianna.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's a really awesome idea, and I love that it's a pretty low like barrier to entry in terms of getting people involved, and people like there's so many individuals that we meet that really want to be involved in like impact type initiatives, but a lot of times it's, you know, not knowing how to get involved, or it feels like a really big leap to do that. But this is a great way, I think, to get athletes to start to even just become more aware around plastic waste and understanding that they can have an impact. And sometimes that starts as something small, but who knows what the ripple effect of that could be later on. And those small efforts are leading up to 68 pounds worth of donated things. You know, in the case of, I think you said it was Clemson. But yeah, it's really awesome. It's really encouraging. I did have a question. How have you been able to get the different teams on board? Is it like really organically through like Instagram, them reaching out, or yeah, I'd just be curious to hear that.
So at first it was just like personal relationships that I had with people, and getting kind of friends and colleagues on board. And then this past summer with COVID, obviously there was a lot of time on your hands and not a lot to do. So I reached out to the vast majority of Division I men's and women's basketball coaches to try to get them on board, and probably got, 40 or so responses positive, and Clemson and TCU and Cal Poly being among them. And then they just thought it was a cool idea. And then they kind of told their players about it, or had their team managers just collect. And then people saw our toiletry bags on Instagram and like the travel kits that we created. So people, when you have free stuff, and if you sign up and that's, participate, we send these complimentary toiletry bags. So that kind of helped generate publicity. Yeah, Kristen's got hers. So that helped. And then the other aspect too, social media, and like we've had some good news coverage. CBS, The Athletic did a story. Kristen did one for her website, Reciproc. We had not ESPN, ESPN Radio did a story covering the event last year. So we've gotten some media personalities behind it, and teams have posted it from their official Twitters. And it's been, we've had some coaching associations like Rising Coaches, which is a basketball networking coaching, Grow the Game, which focuses on basketball managers and grassroots stuff. So just kind of leveraging the connections. And then we have kind of conversations like this, every 4 or 5 months to kind of brainstorm new ideas. And one of the ideas that came out of the last one, and Kristen was on it, was we created a one-sheeter graphic that kind of explains the initiative that you can easily send to people who want to get involved and how to get involved. And I'm trying to see, can you share images in the chat on this?
Yeah, I think under file.
Okay.
Daniel, do you think you could also share the video clip that you showed? I got kicked off because my internet is pretty bad, so I missed the video.
Let me see.
Thank you.
Let me find.
I also think if you just drag the image like in that chat box, it'll work.
Okay. Let me try that first.
And then after that, Daniel, we'll let you go, because I won't say what time is left in the game, but you can catch up at halftime, hopefully.
Yeah, I actually like watching the games on delay, so I don't have to watch any of the commercials.
Okay, fair enough.
And hopefully you can get your the other 2 of the 3 Musketeers to support scouting and scavenging.
Yes, no, for sure. If Giannis tweets something, that would be really cool.
Hey, Daniel, can I ask while you're still here?
Yeah.
I don't. Sorry if you already spoke about this, but maybe I missed it. My internet was a bit shit. End of life of the toiletries after they've been used or like donated or whatever. Is there an end of life plan, or what happens?
So usually we kind of find community organizations that are that we deem like suitable, or a lot of teams have their own organizations that they partner with, and whatever those organizations sort of deem as the best way to distribute those supplies, we kind of entrust it to them at that point.
Well, again, Daniel, thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to get this image in.
And Jackie, what I can afterwards, I can find that the video, I bet. Or Daniel,
Yeah, I'll put the link to it in.
You know what might be like a, sorry, I just had a call come through. That's why I turned my video off. Do you know what might be a really interesting way to further this and make it even more sustainable and fully circular is engaging. One of my really close friends wanted to create her own sustainable cosmetics company, but she had a heap of trouble trying to get minimum order quantities to get packaging that was either recyclable plastic or bioplastics, because at the moment there's just, there's so many problems with the packaging, like different components can't be recycled, and not a lot of people know that, like if there's a pump you can't recycle it, all that sort of stuff. So it might be cool to use this platform to engage with the manufacturers themselves and say, actually, there is a huge demand for plastic-free packaging of toiletries, so we don't have to be so concerned about the end of life of those plastics that if they are single use and disposable, which obviously in this day and age there's a need for. I think like obviously using this kind of scale is probably a good way to cut through and get those minimum order quantities reduced.
Super interesting. I feel like hospitality companies like hotels can be using their influence because they're huge purchasers of these. Ideally they're getting things that aren't single use, but I guess in situations where they do feel like they need it.
And they're all falling over themselves trying to say how green they are.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing we're working on also, and we've had talks with a couple of different companies, but we do like a scavenger of the month where we whoever kind of sends in the most pictures or does something to contribute to our initiative gets named the scavenger of the month. And we're trying to find a sponsor for that, a cosmetics company or like a deodorant or hygiene company, like Art of Sport is one we've talked to, and Dr. Sasquatch, I think they're Dr. Squatch. I can't remember the exact name, but and the idea being they would sponsor it, and the winning team or individual at the end of each month, that company would send a shipment of supplies that they're no longer using, that are outdated, or the packaging is off, to the charity or shelter of that winner's choice, as a way of kind of leveraging their community brand and encouraging people to get involved so that they can impact their community even more and multiply the effect.
Cool.
I've got another question. Do we know, are there any hotels that are doing this sort of thing on their own?
Oh, a lot of hotels do stuff like this in terms of donating excess, or if they have, when they get stuff, new shipments in, or they donate like a segment of their supplies locally. But to my knowledge, in terms of the used or like stuff before you check out, that's where the kind of difference is for us, is because these are people, and someone asked a question one time, which is a good question, like, if you don't use the shampoo, aren't you stealing it if you take it and donate it somewhere else? And it's like, well, if you get a gift, or let's say you go to a sports game and you get a free t-shirt, and you take the shirt, but you never wear it and give it away to a homeless shelter. Like, it's kind of the same kind. You can do whatever you want with the shirt, because by going to the game, you get the free shirt. By going to the hotel, you get access to the toiletries. And I choose to donate them and other people choose to donate them. And I have kind of a single use shampoo that I use to just travel with me. So I'm not using these plastics each time and going through it.
I had a question, Daniel, and like, so in terms of like the business operation side, have you heard any like pushback like from these hotels? Be like, hey, like all those are our products. And my follow-up question is like, in the future, do you see this as like a licensing like deal, like with these hotels, or like are you or do you still want to have the engagement side of like athletes and like all the people who are helping out with all these donations?
Yeah, so the first question, we haven't had any pushback from hotels because a lot of these teams are staying in different hotels, different cities, all across the country. So it's not like we're raiding the, Marriott Marquis in New York and we've taken 40,000 pounds worth of shampoo from that hotel in Times Square. It's kind of coming all over the place. I would say on a given trip, like a team probably gets 20 to 25 supplies donated, whether that's shampoo, soap, a razor, shaving cream, whatever the case may be. And we haven't gotten any pushback. A lot of companies that supply these types of toiletries to hotels have reached out and said, hey, we can just supply you with them directly and donate them, because we are always looking for places and causes to donate these to. And then the second thing, in terms of, we welcome donations, like honestly, as long as the supplies are being used and put to good use, because the need for them is really, really high. Like we just did a donation at a food pantry in Elizabeth, New Jersey, 2 weeks ago, and they had never really donated these toiletry items, but because of COVID, they've had to like really ramp up toilet paper, like toilet paper, paper towels, especially because during COVID there was such a huge shortage and a sort of a panic buy from everywhere else. And then a lot of these cleaning supplies, the prices went up, Clorox wipes, hand sanitizers, whatever. So the demand for them has gotten really high. And I'm sure once things start to really truly normalize again, it might sort of settle down, but it's been very welcomed. Like even in Newark, when we were distributing those supplies, and we had 5 boxes set up, each with a shampoo box, a toothpaste box, a conditioner box, a lotion box. And you had people that were sorting and going through the stuff for like 5 minutes, that we ended up having to just make the bags ourselves and kind of put a random assortment of supplies in, because otherwise people would have been there all day trying to figure out what brands they liked and which ones were the best fit, and trying to sift through. And they were so grateful for these things that we just kind of take for granted as someone who in a normal year travels 100+ days. So it really kind of puts things in perspective.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I put the link to the image. I put our Twitter and our Instagram handles. If you guys want to give us a follow, that would be awesome. And then I'm going to put our scouting and scavenging pledge, which is also a sign up for our newsletter, which we do monthly. And we do kind of different topics on each newsletter. So one time was sports sustainability. So we interviewed Lou and Kristen. We did one on what it's like to be an NBA scout during COVID, what it's like to put together a travel plan and be the operations director for a college basketball team during COVID. One time talking about our partnership in Newark and what they do with the toiletry supplies. And so kind of a different theme each month. And so I'll put the link to that in there as well.
Perfect. Daniel, thank you so much. And also thanks to the champions for engaging such a great discussion and engaging in such a great discussion. Really appreciate it. And there's been food for thought for, ways to, to make this even more impactful from a circular economy way. And I'm, just speaking for myself, I wish you the best in growing this, getting Giannis, getting Middleton, and and hopefully, how cool would it be in your kind of first full year to win an NBA championship as well? I mean, that would be, yours was the bigger story, but still, that would be a nice thing.
Yeah, no, and at the end of our playoff run, based on what the staff and players have collected, we're planning a donation to a homeless community in Milwaukee. So if we get to the finals in advance, we'll have lots of toiletries, and hopefully we can break the TCU record of 68 pounds.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And maybe, I know you mentioned Rutgers. I'm a Rutgers grad, as I've mentioned to Gary all the time, and he gives me grief for it as a Penn Stater. If you need any connections at RU, we can talk.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for having me. Really nice to virtually connect. And then I'll put my info here if anyone wants to follow up or reach out afterwards. Happy to answer any questions.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
All right.
Thanks
luck, guys.
for pausing the game for us.
Yeah,
Good
no
luck.
problem. I should have
Thanks, Daniel.
now be able to finish right around on time. I usually start 45 minutes late. That's kind of the sweet spot for getting out of all the commercials.
Nice. Yeah, you should be good. It'll be
All
exciting.
right. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. All right. So thanks so much, Daniel. And just a couple of, because we want to be respectful of time, and we set this for an hour. So I just wanted to give you guys some updates as to where we've been since our last community chat, which was the Earth Day community chat with Dr. Catherine Hayhoe. Lots been going on, including adding more new champions. We're up to 40 on the site, but with you folks who are here and a couple more, we are going to be pushing 45. The champions are really getting engaged, and thank you all for really being involved, putting out our social and speaking up. We also have had some excellent media hits, including a great story on us in Tree Hugger magazine, which reaches online, treehugger.com, a green news site that reaches 2.6 million people per month. We also did an event in which Gary participated, and also Zoe Morse, a champion from the NWSL in Chicago, and Kristen and I were involved with a nonprofit called the Beyond Sports Foundation, and they work with under-resourced kids in the Chicago area to provide them student athletes in the Chicago area to help them with their academics, and they work on a number of different planes, including STEM education, but they don't talk about climate and the environment. So we did a Zoom call with the student athletes and some of the parents on a Sunday early in June. And actually, there's going to be a story in Green Sports Blog about it tomorrow. And let's see. Oh yes, on the media hits, I neglected to mention that I actually got interviewed by the BBC and it went up over the weekend, and I just got the digital file, and so I will share it with you guys via email. And what's really important about that is that shows that they reached out to us. They'd heard of Eco Athletes, and so that shows that we are getting traction. and so we are getting more requests for media, for our athlete, for our champions, and something like getting on the BBC is going to help even accelerate that process. Kristen, was there anything update wise that I might have missed?
No, I was just going to say, I think it's really exciting. On the day of the Earth Day event, I got an email from an anchor at ESPN, and she ended up interviewing Brent Suter on her Instagram Live. And as well as we got a Deadspin article. Someone reached out, an editor reached out to us there as well. So I think that was exciting, and hopefully it spans more than just Earth Day in the future. But I think the growth so far over the last year has been pretty exciting. I know, Lou, you want to cover kind of one more topic before we sign off.
Yes, and that is COP26, which is the big climate conference in the beginning of November in Glasgow, Scotland. And this is something Kristen and I have been speaking about for a couple of months now, which is that this is being seen as the biggest COP, the most important COP since the 2015 version at which the Paris Climate Agreement was signed. And so we believe that the voices of athletes need to be heard about the need for climate action. And we also believe that the Eco Athletes Champions should lead this effort. And so we have drafted a manifesto for COP26 for athletes and people related, in the sports world to endorse. We will ask, and I'm now going to share my screen to show you. Hopefully this works. I'm not going to read it aloud to you, but the basic gist is that.
Do you have the other version? I mean, no big deal.
This is the only version that I was able to put up.
It's okay. There's a pretty graphic version, everybody.
Oh, okay.
No worries.
I'm sorry. I had the wrong. My bad. We will send the prettier graphic version via email, but the gist is that the climate crisis is right now. We cannot wait. Things will get worse before they get better, and climate change is impacting not only the world, but it's also impacting our sports. And athletes have led on a myriad of issues over decades. We're in an era of athlete, activism, but on climate, it's been slow to start. But thanks to you guys, the champions, we believe that the time is now. And then we actually make some specific recommendations. We call on fans, organizations, government, and business leaders to unite to achieve the 4 main goals of the COP. And those are specific around, keeping emissions by mid-century, so we can reducing emissions so that we can keep the 1.5 degree goal within reach, adapt to protect communities and natural habitats, mobilize finance to make this possible, and collaborate to finalize the Paris rulebook. So what we are going to do is we are going to send this to all the champions, including yourself, to hopefully get your signature on it. And then we are also going to, and we will encourage you, if you're a part of a team, to encourage or you're a part of a governing body or a federation, to get them to potentially sign on to it. Eco Athletes, the organization, will sign on. We'd love to have as many of our champions individually sign on. And then we're going to ask other athlete groups that are involved in the environment to see if they would endorse as well. Kristen, any comments there?
No, I think, if you feel so inclined and feel comfortable kind of endorsing this or sharing it with others that are interested or might be interested and aligned to kind of the greater sports community, we'd love to have kind of as many people within this larger green sports and just larger sports community involved as possible. So I think it's exciting, and hopefully we can, grow it enough that it gets coverage and people really see the power of impact, or the powerful impact of sports on movement like this.
And
Do we want to be? Oh, sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say that that we're gonna get this out quickly. We would love to get signatures, early to mid August, because then we're going to try and we're going to work to get media coverage of this. And then we are also going to work to see if one of our champions could go to Glasgow and present it to someone of influence at the COP. So all of that is, there's some moving parts there, but we're looking to work that out. Amy, you were going to ask a question.
Yeah, just about the number 4, the rule book thing. I mean, I just wonder if you maybe want to be a little bit more specific about what we're asking, because I know that, when they sit around and try and negotiate line by line each word at the COP, it's a bit fruitless. So yeah, maybe we want to put in some clear direction on what specifically of, like, Article 6 is the key thing, right, for the what we want to get out of it. Maybe we take this offline. Hey,
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think Lou and I definitely talked about that, the fine line between too much specificity, where Eco Athletes plays in that role of like advocacy and, wanting this to be a really big movement that everybody feels comfortable to get behind, and also being intentional and explicit with what we are driving. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you'd recommend.
Just coming from Australia, Meridian's probably got the same point of view that, we could come up with a rule book that benefits Australia but is not ambitious. So
haven't we already done that in Australia?
Well, our view on what we do with our CDM credits and Kyoto, and so anyway, like we could.
Australia's like use of land use and land use change to sort of pretend that we're reducing emissions.
Yeah. So I suppose, yeah, there's like a minimum level of aspiration that we want to get put into this rule book.
We
anyway.
we welcome everybody's comments. Any other thoughts on this before?
I think we'll send this out. So the next kind of point is, I know Lou just mentioned a few media hits that we've had so far. So after this meeting, and after Thursday's meeting with the other half of the world, we will send out some links of where we've been showing up, and also of this draft, so you can take a closer look and maybe ask or have more specific comments or feedback.
Awesome. And also one other thing, and Ridian, all the best in Tokyo, and we are going to be we are also pushing on a few media opportunities about the champions who are going to Tokyo. And as it relates to climate, there are different story angles that we're working on, and I'm going to be writing a story on Green Sports Blog as well, but we're also looking at some media outlets with much bigger reach, and so we will keep you up to date on that. But Ridian, go for it.
Thanks, I'll do my best.
Awesome.
And any other comments from anybody before we head out?
The one comment I have for Brittany, she had said that she was excited for like watching more sports in person. You got basketball, baseball, but she had left out how the NHL is in the Stanley Cup Finals. It's a pretty big series, so I just wanted you to add that on your agenda, hopefully.
Thank you. I need to diversify my sport watching. Yes.
Lots of exciting sports happening right now.
Yep.
All right.
All right, y'all. For those in the United States, keep cool and all the best. We'll be sending out the COP26 stuff, and we will be talking to you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Enjoy your night.